Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamdiriye Nashtaprayeshu Vatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 15, Bali Maharaj conquers the heavenly planets. Text number 10, 11 onwards. So we studied how Shukracharya saved Bali Maharaj, brought him back to life, and then Bali Maharaj performed this Vishwajit Yagya. And after he performed the yagya, he got the mercy of the Brahmins and his teacher. And then they gave him such a nice chariot, protective armor, bow, arrows, sword. And now he sat down on the chariot. Let's see what happens now. Tulyashwarya bal shribhi swayut hai dat yut hai vibadbhir kam drigbhir dahadbhi paridhina Vrito Vikarshan Mahatim Asurim Dvajinim Vibhu Yaya Vindra Purim. So Sriddham Kampian Ev Rodasi. When he assembled with his own soldiers and the demons' chiefs, who were equal to him in strength, opulence, and beauty, they appeared as if they would swallow the sky and burn all directions with their vision. After this, gathering the demoniac soldiers, Bali Maharaj departed for the opulent capital of Indra. Indeed, he seemed to make the entire surface of the world tremble. So they all attack Indra. So he is a king of the demigods. So if he is defeated, everybody is defeated. Ramyam upavano dhyane Shri Madhir Nandanadidhi Kujad Vihanga Mithuner Gayan Mattam Madhuvrita Praval Fal Pushporu Bhara Shaka Maradrume. King Indra's city was full of pleasing orchards and gardens, such as the Nandan garden. Because of the weight of the flowers, leaves, and fruit, the branches of the eternally existing trees were bending down. The gardens were visited by pairs of chirping birds and singing bees. The entire atmosphere was celestial. So there's this beautiful description of Indra's place, Nandan garden. And this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the Vedas talk about all these wonderful heavenly planets, but do not get contracted by that, because even heavenly planets, they're temporary, they're not permanent. Hansa Saras Chakra Karanda Kula Kula Nalinyo Yatra Kridanti Pramadaha Surasevitaha. Beautiful women protected by the demigods sported in the gardens, which had lotus ponds full of swans, cranes, chakravarks, and ducks. Akash Gangaya Devya Vritambari Kabhuteya Prakarena Agni Varnena Sata Leno Natena Cha. The city was surrounded by trenches full of Ganges water, known as Akash Ganga, and by a high wall, which was the color of fire. Upon this wall were parapets for fighting. Rukma Patta Kapatashcha Dwaras Fatik Gopura Jushtam Vibhakta Prapatham Vishwakarma Vinirmitam. The doors were made of solid gold plates and the gates were of excellent marble. These were linked by various public roads. The entire city had been constructed by Vishwakarma. Sabhachat Vararathyadyam Vimananya Urdar Yutam Shrungat Karamani Mayar Vraja Vidruma Vedibhi. The city was full of courtyards, wide roads, assembly houses, and not less than 100 million airplanes. The crossroads were made of pearl, and they were sitting places made of diamond and coral. 100 million airplanes were there. Wow. Yatra nitya vayo rupa shyama virajvasasa rajante rupa vannaryo iyarchir bhairev vahanya. Everlastingly beautiful and youthful women who were dressed with clean garments glittered in the city like fires with flames. They all possessed the quality of Shyama. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a hint of the quality of the Shyama woman. A woman whose body is very warm during the winter and cool during the summer, and who generally has very firm breasts, is called Shyama. Surastri Kesha Vibhrishtan Navasogandhikasrajam Yatra Modam Upadaya Marga Avati Maruta. The breezes blowing in the streets of the city bore the fragrance of the flowers falling from the hair of the women of the demigods. Hema Jalaksh Nirgacha Dhume na Guru Gandhina Pandurena Pratichanna Marge Yanti Surapriyaha. Apsaras passed on the streets which are covered with the white fragrant smoke of aguru incense emanating from windows with golden filigree. Mukta Vitaner Mani Hema Ketu Bhir Nana Pata Kavala Bhira Vritam Shikhandi Paravat Bhunga Naditam Vaimanik Strikal Gita Mangalam. The city was shaded by canopies decorated with pearls, and the domes of the palaces had flags of pearl and gold. The city always resounded with the vibrations of peacocks, pigeons, and bees, and above the city flew airplanes, full of beautiful women who constantly chanted auspicious songs that were very pleasing to the ear. So this is a description of the heavenly planets, especially Indralok. And the scientists on Earth say there is no life anywhere else. Mridanga Shankha Dundu Bhisvana Satala Veena Murjeshtu Venupi Nritya Savadhyar Upadeva Gita Kehar Manorama Swaprabhaya Jit Prabham. The city was filled with the sounds of mridangas, conch shells, kettle drums, flutes, and well-tuned stringed instruments, all playing in the concert. There was constant dancing, and the Gandharvas sang. The combined beauty of Indrapuri defeated beauty personified. Yamna vrajanti dharmishta kala bhut druha shatha manina kamino lubdha evirhina vrajanti yap. No one who was sinful, envious, violent toward other living entities, cunning, falsely proud, lusty, or greedy could enter that city. The people who lived there were all devoid of all these faults. So, because in Gita it is urdhvam gachanti sattvasto. Those in the mode of goodness, they advance or go upwards. Upwards means to the heavenly planets. So these are all the qualities of people in mode of passion and ignorance. They do not go to that place. Tam deva dhanim savaruthini pater bahi samanta rurudhe pratanyaya acharya dattam jalajam mahasvanam dadmo priyunjanma janmayam indram yoshitam. Bali Maharaj was a commander of numberless soldiers, gathered his soldiers outside the abode of Indra and attacked it from all directions. He sounded the conch shell given him by his spiritual master, Shukracharya, thus creating a fearful situation for the women protected by Indra. So numberless soldiers, and they all attacked from all directions at a time. Bhagavan stam abhipretya bale paramam udyamam sarva deva gano peto gurum etad uvachaha. Seeing Bali Maharaj's indefatigable endeavor means we cannot be defeated. And understanding his motive, King Indra, along with the other demigods, approached his spiritual master Brihaspati and spoke as follows. Bhagwan udyamo bhuyan balerna purva vairina avishyayam imam manye kena sita teja sorjitaha. My lord, our old enemy Bali Maharaj now has new enthusiasm, and he has obtained such astonishing power that we think that perhaps we cannot resist his prowess. Nanam kashit kuto vapi prativyodum adhishvaraha pibannev mukhe nedam lihannev disho dasha dahannev disho drigdhi samvartargani evotitha. No one anywhere can counteract this military arrangement of Bali's. It now appears that Bali is trying to drink up the entire universe with his mouth, lick up the 10 directions with his tongue, and raise fire in every direction with his eyes. Indeed, he has arisen like the annihilating fire known as Samvartak. Bruhi karanam etasya durdharsya madripahu Ojah saho balam tejo yat etat samudyamaha. Kindly inform me what's the cause for Bali Maharaj's strength, endeavor, influence, and victory. How has he become so enthusiastic? Shri Guru Vacha Janami Magvanchatro Runnate Arasya Karanam Shishyayo Bhritam Tejo Dhrigu Bhir Brahmavadibhi. Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigod, said, O Indra, I know the cause for your enemies becoming so powerful. The Brahmins, descendants of Bhrigu Muni, being pleased by Bali Maharaj, their disciple, endowed him with such extraordinary power. So really, the Brahmins, they were giving the power, mercy, blessings to Bali Maharaj. And where do they get the power from? We can say, okay, they get it from their austerities, charity, or whatever they perform, but ultimately it comes from the Supreme Lord, because they themselves, they don't have the powers. Ultimately it comes from the Lord. Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, informed Indra, ordinarily Bali and his forces could not achieve such strength, but it appears that the Brahman descendants of Bhrigu Muni, being pleased with Bali Maharaj, endowed him with this spiritual power. In other words, Brihaspati informed Indra that Bali Maharaj's prowess was not his own, but that of his exalted guru, Shukracharya. We sing in our daily prayers, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasado. By the pleasure of the spiritual master, one can get extraordinary power, especially in spiritual advancement. The blessings of the spiritual master are more powerful than one's personal endeavor for such advancement. Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Karya Aikya. Especially for spiritual advancement, one should carry out the bona fide order of the spiritual master. By the Parampara system, one can thus be endowed with original spiritual power coming from the Supreme Personality of God. So the spiritual master, or here in this case, Brahmins and the Shukra and his own guru, Shukracharya, they gave him some blessings by which Bali Maharaj became so powerful. Ojasvinam balim jetum na samartho asti kaschana bhavat vidho bhavan vapi varjit veshwaram harim vijeshyati na kopienam brahma teja samedhitam nasya shaktah pura sthatum kritantasya yatha jana. Neither you nor your men can conquer the most powerful Bali. Indeed, no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can conquer him, for he is now equipped with the supreme spiritual power, Brahm Tejas. As no one can stand before Yamaraj, no one can now stand before Bali Maharaj. He got so much of power. Tasmanilyam utsrijya yuyam sarve tirvishtupam yat kalam pratikshanto yata shatror viparyaya. Therefore, waiting until the situation of your enemies is reversed, you should all leave this heavenly planet and go elsewhere where you will not be seen. So Brihaspati is saying, oh, don't just fight with them. Although demigods had drank the nectar, so they were immortal. Immortal means just for one Manu's time period, but still they could be defeated. It didn't mean that they could not be defeated or captured. So Brihaspati said, just disappear right now, because Bali Maharaj is very, very powerful. एष विप्र बलोर्धर का संप्रत्योर्जित विक्रमः तेषाम् एवापमानेन सान बंधो विनंक्षति. Bali Maharaj has now become extremely powerful because of the benedictions given him by the Brahmins. But when he later insults the Brahmins, he will be vanquished along with his friends and assistants. Bali Maharaj and Indra were enemies. Therefore, when Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, predicted that Bali Maharaj would be vanquished when he insulted the Brahmins, by whose grace he had become so powerful, Bali Maharaj's enemies were naturally anxious to know when that opportune moment would come. To pacify King Indra, Brihaspati assured him that the time would certainly come. For Brihaspati could see that in the future, Bali Maharaj would defy the orders of Shukracharya in order to pacify Lord Vishnu or Vamandev. Of course, to advance in Krishna consciousness, one can take all risks. To please Vamandev, Bali Maharaj risked defying the orders of his spiritual master, Shukracharya. Because of this, he would lose all his property. Yet, because of devotional service to the Lord, he would get more than he expected. And in the future, in the 8th Manvanta, he would occupy the throne of Indra again. So at the same time, of course, devotion service and the surrender, full surrender to Lord Vamandev, he'll gain much more. But because of his offenses to the Brahmins, he would lose, at a time, he would lose everything. So the best would be, without committing offense to the Brahmins, we please the Supreme Lord. That would be the best thing to do. But Lord also orchestrates, arranges such a difficult situation for a devotee. What to do now? It's not easy. We'll read what Bali Maharaj goes through. And at that situation, when he loses everything, and then he gets the mercy of Vamandev. So that kind of faith is required. Evam sumantritarthaste gurunarthanudarshina hitva trivishtapam jagmur girvana kamarupina. Shukdev Goswami continued, the demigods, being thus advised by Brihaspati for their benefit, immediately accepted his words. Assuming forms according to their desire, they left the heavenly kingdom and scattered without being observed by the demons. So they just followed Brihaspati's advice. The word Kama Rupina indicates that the demigods, the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, can assume any form they desire. Thus, it was not at all difficult for them to remain incognito before the eyes of the demons. So they remained hidden till the time is right. Deveshvat Nilineshu Balir Varochana Purim Devadhanim Adhishtaya Vasham Ninya Jagatrayam. When the demigods had disappeared, Bali Maharaj, the son of Virochan, entered the heavenly kingdom, and from there he brought the 3 worlds under his control. Tamam Vishwa Jainam Shishyam Bhrigva Shishya Vatsala Shaten Hay Medhanam Anuvritam Ayajayam. The Brahman descendants of Bhrigu, being very pleased with their disciple who had conquered the entire universe, now engaged him in performing 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices. We have seen in the dispute between Maharaj Prithu and Indra that when Maharaj Prithu wanted to perform 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas, Indra wanted to impede him, for it is because of such great sacrifices that Indra was made king of heaven. Here the Brahman descendants of Bhrigu decided that although Maharaj Bali was situated on the throne of Indra, he would not be able to stay there unless he performed such sacrifices. Therefore, they advised Bali Maharaj to perform at least as many Ashwamedha Yagyas as Indra, means 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. The word Ayajayam indicates that all the Brahmins induced Bali Maharaj to perform such sacrifices. Also, the thing that time, or the tradition was, it's not like Bali Maharaj would think, okay, I got the throne of Indra, I can eat, drink, and be merry. No, he is still performing yagyas. So this is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. Everybody still follows. The demons also follow it. Only problem is demons, they just don't want to serve the Lord. But Bali Maharaj does, but he's still a demon. Just like Vritrasura, we read about him. He's an asura, Vritrasura, but he was a great devotee. Tatastad anubhavena bhavantraya vishrutam kirtim dikshu vitanvana sarrej uduradiva. When Bali Maharaj performed these sacrifices, he gained a great reputation in all directions throughout the three worlds. Thus he shone in his position like the brilliant moon in the sky. Bubuje cha shriyam svridham dvij devo palambitam krita krityam ivatmanam manyamano mahamana. Because of the favor of the Brahmins, the great soul Bali Maharaj, thinking himself very satisfied, became very opulent and prosperous and began to enjoy the kingdom. The Brahmins are called the Dvijadeva and Kshatriyas are generally called Naradeva. The word Deva actually refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmins guide human society in becoming happy by satisfying Lord Vishnu. And according to their advice, the Kshatriyas, who are called Naradeva, keep law and order so that other people, namely the Vaishyas and Shudras, may properly follow regulative principles. In this way, people are gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So Brahmins gave plenty of blessings and the favor of Brahmins. Bali Maharaj, he performed all these yagyas. And also one thing has to be clear, that when somebody gets lots of opulence, prosperity, it is because of his previous pious karmas. But then he has to perform more pious activities to keep that opulence intact. Otherwise, he would lose it. Just like many times, it has been seen that when a person wins some lottery, all of a sudden he becomes rich, very, very rich. And it happens because of his pious activity that he has done previously. But then now what? If he is not careful enough, he doesn't perform pious activities, he will just lose that money. He doesn't know what to do with it. So money, Lakshmi is Chanchala. She doesn't stay at one place if the person is not qualified. It's not that Lakshmi is going to lose power, or Durga is going to lose power, or Saraswati is going to lose power. That's nonsense talks. But she doesn't stay at a place if the person is not qualified. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of 8th canto, 15th chapter, entitled Bali Maharaj Conquers the Heavenly Planets. So we can start the 16th chapter. Executing the Payovrat process of worship. If we remember, now Kashyap Muni, he is a husband of both Diti and Aditi. So Diti is the mother of Daityas, demons, and Aditi is the mother of Adityas, or demigods. Now when Diti's sons had lost the power or the opulence, and Aditi's demigods were more powerful. Diti, if you remember, it was in what, 6th canto, and she went to her husband and she asked, she was morose, and what is this? And my sons are losing, they don't have the opulence. And Kashyap Muni gave her Payavrat Vrata. And he said, do it for 1 year without any mistake. But she committed one little fault towards the end of the year, and Indra entered her womb and just cut up the embryo first into 7 pieces, and then every piece into 7 more. They all became, and 49 pieces, and they all were born as demigods then, Maruts. But then she just, Diti just forgave Indra. But then the story went on to Chitraketu, then how he became Vritrasura, and this and that. And now, Diti's sons, or the progeny of Diti, now they have become powerful. Diti had 2 sons, right? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And from Hiranyakashipu came Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj came Virochan, and then it's Bali Maharaj. So it's all in the same family. Now Bali Maharaj is more powerful, and so Aditi is lamenting. Aditi will lament that her sons, now they don't have the opulence. And who they all go and bother? Kashyap Muni. Both sides. They go and bother Kashyap Muni, and Kashyap Muni has to give them some way, some process. Okay, you do this, and then your sons will benefit. So in Grihastha Ashram, there's always some problem or other going on. Shri Shukuvacha, Evam Putreshu Nashteshu Deva Mata Aditis Tada Rite Trivishtape Datya Paritapya Anathavat. Shukdev Goswami continued, O king, when Aditi's sons, the demigods, had thus disappeared from heaven, and the demons had occupied their places, Aditi began lamenting, as if she had no protector. Text 2. Ekada Kashyapastasya ashramam bhagavanaga nirutsavam niranandam samadhera viratishchara. After many, many days, the great powerful sage Kashyap Muni arose from a trance of meditation and returned home to see the ashram of Aditi neither jubilant nor festive. Aditi, although mother of the demigods, she was still in the ashram with Kashyap Muni. And Kashyap Muni is non-attached to what his descendants on both sides, what are they doing? He is completely unattached. So he was in his meditation. Sapatnim dina vadanam kritasan parigriha sabhajito yathanyayam midam ahakurudvaha. After, O best of the Kurus, when Kashyap Muni had been properly received and welcomed, he took his seat and then spoke as follows to his wife Aditi, who was very morose. Apiya badram na vipranam bhadre loke aduna gatam na dharmasya na lokasya mrityosh chandanuvartinam. O most gentle one, I wonder whether anything inauspicious has now taken place in regard to religious principles, the Brahmins or the people in general, who are subjected to winds of death. There are prescribed duties for all the inhabitants of this material world, especially for the Brahmins, but also for the people in general who are subjected to the whims of death. So why whims of death? Because people just die. There is no guarantee that everybody is going to live up to whatever, 100 or 1,000, 10,000, 1 lakh years, according to different yuga. Anybody can die anytime. So death is considered very whimsical, of course, from our point of view. From Yamaraja's point of view, nothing is whimsical. Everything is fixed. So Kashyap Muni was wondering, what happened? How come your ashram is not kept properly? Kashyap Muni wondered whether the regulative principles which are meant for the well-being of everyone had been disobeyed. He accordingly continued his inquiries for 7 verses. So next 7 verses, or started from 4, he continued his inquiry. What happened? Apiva kushalam kinchit griheshu grihimedini dharmasyarthasya kamasya yatra yogo hi ayoginam. O my wife, who are very much attached to householder life, if the principles of religion, economic development, and satisfaction of the senses are properly followed in household life, one's activities are as good as those of a transcendentalist. I wonder whether there have been any discrepancies in following these principles. In this verse, Aditi has been addressed by her husband Kashyap Muni as Grihi Medhini, which means one who is satisfied in household life for sense gratification. So he didn't address her as Grihastha or Grihasthini. Generally, those who are in household life pursue sense gratification in the field of activities performed for material results. Such Grihimedis have only one aim in life, sense gratification. Therefore, it is said, Yanamathunadi Grihimedi Sukham Hitucham. The householder's life is based on sense gratification, and therefore the happiness derived from it is very meager. Nonetheless, the Vedic process is so comprehensive that even in householder life, one can adjust his activities according to the regulative principles of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So this process we have to follow. I mean, of course, as devotees, we just get into Bhakti Yoga part. But nevertheless, Vedic process is so comprehensive. So even householders, they can follow this Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha and be on the right path. One's aim should be to achieve liberation. But because one cannot at once give up sense gratification, in the Shastras there are injunctions prescribing how to follow the principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharmasya apavargasya nartharthaya kalpate. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Those who are in household life should not think that religion is meant to improve the process of householders' sense gratification. Household life is also meant for advancement in spiritual understanding, by which one can ultimately gain liberation from the material clutches. So that's why even householder life is called Grihastha Ashram, if we follow it properly. So ashram means where one can make progress spiritually. One should remain in household life with understanding the ultimate goal of life, Tattva Jigyasa. Then household life is as good as the life of a yogi. Kashyap Muni therefore inquired from his wife whether the principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification were being properly followed in the terms of the Shastric injunctions. As soon as one deviates from the injunctions of the Shastra, the purpose of household life is immediately lost in confusion. So that's why Shastras are there, that's why sadhus are there, Guru is there to keep us on the proper track. Api vatitheo abhyetya kutumba saktya tvaya grihat pujita yata prati uthanena vakvachit. I wonder whether because of being too attached to the members of your family, you failed to properly receive uninvited guests who therefore were not welcomed and went away. Kashyap Muni is thinking, somewhere Aditi has committed some offense, so something is wrong. What did she do? It's the duty of a householder to receive guests, even if a guest be an enemy. When a guest comes to one's home, one should properly receive him by standing up and offering him a seat. It is enjoined, Grihe Shatrum api praptam vishwastam akuto bhayam. If even an enemy comes to one's home, one should receive him in such a way that the guest will forget that his host is an enemy. According to one's position, one should properly receive anyone who comes to one's house. At least a seat and a glass of water should be offered so that the guest will not be displeased. Kashyap Muni inquired from Aditi whether disrespect had been shown to such guests or Atiti. The word Atiti refers to one who comes without an invitation. So Atiti means without any announced date of arrival or leaving also. That's according to scriptures. But Kali Yuga, we cannot. We have to be practical. We cannot just let anybody or everybody enter the house and then we are receiving them nicely and they might start stealing something. Who knows what goes on in Kali Yuga? So one got to be very careful. We have to be practical in applying these Vedic instructions. Griheshu yeshu atithyo narchita salilarapi yadi niryanti te nunam feru raja grihopama. Homes from which guests go away without having been received even with an offering of a little water are like those holes in the field which are the homes of jackals. So strict. In a field, there may be holes made by snakes and mice, but then there are very big holes. It may be supposed that jackals live there. So the homes for grihasthas are big holes. Certainly, no one goes to take shelter in such homes. Thus, the homes of human beings where atithis, uninvited guests, are not properly received are like the homes of jackals. Api agrestu velayam nahuta havisha sati tvayodvigna dhiya bhadre proshite maitarahichit. O chaste and auspicious woman, when I left home for other places, were you in so much of anxiety that you did not offer oblations of ghee into the fire? You did not perform any yagyas? Yat pujeya kam dughan yati lokan grihan vita brahmano agnishva Agnishcha Vaivishno Sarva Devat Manomukham. By worshipping the fire and the Brahmins, a householder can achieve the desired goal of residing in the higher planets. For the sacrificial fire and the Brahmins are to be considered the mouth of Lord Vishnu, who is a super soul of all the demigods. So according to the Vedic system, a fire sacrifice is held in order to offer oblations of ghee, grains, fruits, flowers, and so on, so that Lord Vishnu may eat and be satisfied. So this should go on continuously in the house of Grihasthas. But Prabhupada or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us easy process. We cannot do all this yagyas. So we can chant. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Therefore, all these items may be offered in the sacrificial fire, and Lord Vishnu will be satisfied. Similarly, Brahmana Bhojan, feeding of the Brahmins, is also recommended. For when the Brahmins eat sumptuous remnants of food after yajna, this is another way that Lord Vishnu himself eats. Therefore, the Vedic principles recommend that in every festival or ceremony, one offer oblations to the fire and give sumptuous food for the Brahmins to eat. By such activities, a householder may be elevated to the heavenly planets and similar places in the higher planetary systems. So the Brahman Bhojan is recommended in the Shastras. It is said Lord Vishnu eats through the mouth of the Brahmins. But then the Brahmins means the real Brahmins, not just by Janma, by karma and guna. So if that kind of Brahman is fed, definitely Lord Vishnu will be pleased. Api sarve kushalinas tattava putra manasvini lakshe aswastam atmanam bhavatya lakshanayar aham. O great-minded lady, are all your sons faring well? Seeing your withered face, I can perceive that your mind is not tranquil. Mind is not calm. How is this so? Text 11. Shri Aditir Uvacha Bhadram Dvijagavam Brahman Dharmasyasya Janasya Cha Trivargasya Param Kshetram Grihi Medhin Griha Ime. Aditi said, O my respected Brahman husband, all is well with the Brahmins, the cows, religion, and the welfare of other people. O master of the house, the three principles of Dharma, Artha, and Kama flourish in household life, which is consequently full of good fortune. So Aditi didn't just start complaining and fighting with Kashyap Muni. She is replying very nicely based on the scriptures. In household life, one can develop the three principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification according to the regulations given in the Shastras. But to attain liberation, one must give up household life and place himself in the transcendental renounced order. Kashyap Muni was not in the renounced order of life. Therefore, he is addressed here as a Brahman and another time as Griha Medhin. Aditi, his wife, assured him that as far as household life was concerned, everything was going nicely and the Brahmins and cows were being honored and protected. In other words, there was no disturbances. Household life was duly progressing. So she was following everything that she could as far as household life or other duties of household life are concerned. Agnyo atithyo bhritya bhikshavo yecha lipsava sarvam bhagavato brahman anudhyanan rishyati. O beloved husband, the fires, guests, servants, and beggars are all being properly cared for by me. Because I always think of you, there is no possibility that any of the religious principles will be neglected. So this is wonderful. Grihastha, of course, they're calling each other Griha Medhin, but no, they are real Grihasthas, taking care of everything nicely according to the scriptures. Konu me bhagwan kamo na sampadhet manasa yasya bhavan prajadhyaksha evam dharmana prabhashate. O my Lord, since you are a Prajapati and personally my instructor in the principles of religion, where is a possibility that all my desires will not be fulfilled? Tavev marich mana sharira jaha praja ima sattva rajas tamo jusha samo bhavan tas suradishu prabho tathapi bhaktam bhajate maheshwara. O son of Marichi, because you are a great personality, you are equal toward all the demons and demigods who are born either from your body or from your mind and who possess one or another of the three qualities, Sattvagun, Rajagun, or Tamagun. But although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, is equal toward all living entities, He is especially favorable to his devotees. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal toward everyone, he is especially inclined towards those who engage in his devotional service. The Lord says, Konte pratijani hiname bhakta pranashati. My dear son of Kunti, please declare that my devotee will never be vanquished. Elsewhere, Krishna also says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Actually, everyone is trying to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead in various ways, but according to their methods of approach, the Supreme Lord endows them with different benedictions. Thus, Aditi appealed to her husband by saying that since even the Supreme Controller favors his devotees, and since Indra, Kashyap's devoted son, was in difficulty, Kashyap should bestow his favor upon Indra. This is mother. She just cannot see her children in any kind of difficulty. Any difficulty. Tasmadish bhajantya me shriyashchintya suvrit hrit shriyo hrit sthanan sapatne pahina prabhu. Therefore, most gentle Lord, kindly favor your maidservant. We have now been deprived of our opulence and residence by our competitors, the demons. Kindly give us protection. Aditi, the mother of the demigods, appealed to Kashyap Muni to give the demigods protection. When we speak of the demigods, this also includes their mother. Parer vivasita saham magna vyasan sagare aishwaryam shrir yashasthanam hritani prabhaler mama. The demons, our formidable, powerful enemies, have taken away our opulence, our beauty, our fame, and even our residence. Indeed, we have now been exiled and we are drowning in the ocean of trouble. Yatha tani puna sadho prapadyeran mamatmaja tatha videhi kalyanam diya kalyana krittama. O best of sages, best of all those who grant auspicious benedictions, please consider our situation and bestow upon my sons the benedictions by which they can regain what they have lost. So, although Kashyap Muni is completely unattached, he was in his meditation. So he came back, and Aditi, Mother Aditi, told him what has happened, and she is begging him, give us some benediction so we can regain our opulence. But this is all orchestrated, played by the Lord, so he can come and he can perform his beautiful transcendental pastimes. So he just makes everybody, gives everybody a different role in his pastime, and in the end, it's always devotees will be happy, and the Lord is happy, and the demons will be killed. But it gives us big, big instructions. The whole incident, the whole pastime of Lord Vamandev, and the story before that, the prelude, it's very, very instructive. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri.